We have this peculiar idea that a smile always means safety, that it's a sign of warmth, connection, maybe even truth. But I don't mean the kind of smile you give when you've just been reunited with someone you love. I mean the other kind, the polite, practiced smile that hides something quietly manipulative behind the eyes. Because when you really begin to see, you realize not every smile is born from kindness. Some smiles are masks, beautifully constructed illusions designed to keep you asleep. And here's what nobody tells you. If you're an empath, those smiles can be your most dangerous trap. Do you ever feel you can sense when someone's smile doesn't match the energy behind it? That flicker of unease? That's not paranoia, it's perception. Nobody tells you this, but empaths often become the quiet victims of counterfeit harmony. You walk into a room and instantly you feel it. The subtle tension behind cheerful chatter, the forced laughter, the smiles that feel like veils. You try to trust people's faces because you were taught that kindness looks like courtesy, that goodness looks like pleasantness. But you know what Plato said? The worst deception is self-deception. And in modern life, self-deception often comes wrapped in a smile. Do you ever feel drained after spending time with nice people? Do you ever feel you're betraying yourself just to maintain peace? Do you ever sense that your empathy is being used as currency, something others spend freely but never repay? What if everything we've been taught about reading people is backwards? What if smiles aren't signs of safety, but signals of social theater? Here's where it gets interesting, and a little dangerous. Because when you're deeply empathic, you don't just see emotion, you absorb it. And when you absorb the false warmth of an inauthentic smile, it distorts your inner compass. You begin to doubt your intuition, your truth, your very self. Let me share with you Plato's hidden warning and how it might just save your energy, your sanity, and your soul. Let me share 4 things you need to understand about trusting smiles, especially as an empath. The first thing you must understand is, the world runs on appearances. Plato called it the shadow play, the grand performance of forms and illusions on the wall of the cave. He said most people never see reality itself, they only see reflections. And today, those reflections look like perfect smiles, curated kindness, social masks that say, "I'm fine." But what they don't tell you is that this performance is how society survives. It's how we avoid conflict, how we disguise discomfort. For the empath, though, that illusion isn't just confusing, it's painful. Because you can feel the dissonance between what's shown and what's true. It's like trying to listen to an orchestra where every instrument is slightly out of tune. Everyone's smiling, but underneath you hear anxiety, resentment, competition, and you can't unhear it. I once knew someone, let's call her Miriam, who said she could feel lies physically as a knot in her stomach. At work, her colleagues smiled constantly, praised each other endlessly, but she always left exhausted, aching. Why? Because her body knew what her mind was trained to ignore. Those smiles weren't connection, they were camouflage. Think about it this way, when you mistake performance for sincerity, you let illusions define your reality. And for an empath, that's spiritual poison. This is why Plato warned against mistaking shadows for truth. Because if you live in the shadows long enough, you start believing that the darkness is light. The second, even more important thing to understand is, empathy without discernment becomes self-betrayal. Empathy is beautiful. It's the purest form of connection. But without boundaries, it turns toxic. Plato might have said it like this: to know thyself is to guard thyself. When you trust every smile, you surrender your inner knowing to outer appearances. Imagine trying to pour the ocean into a teacup. That's what it's like trying to contain everyone's emotions inside your own nervous system. You'll overflow, and in that overflow, you lose clarity. Watch what happens in nature. A tree doesn't absorb every drop of water in the soil. It takes what it needs, and the rest continues its cycle. The empath's task is the same, to feel deeply without drowning. I once worked with someone who said, "I don't know who I am unless I'm helping someone else." That's the danger. When you merge empathy with duty, you start rescuing masks instead of people. Here's the profound part. Your sensitivity was never meant to serve falsehood. It was meant to sense truth, so when your gut whispers something's off about a smiling face, listen. That's not judgment, that's discernment. And discernment is how you stay awake in a world that's constantly pretending to be kind. This is why empathy without discernment isn't virtue, it's voluntary blindness. The third thing, which is perhaps the most insidious, is false positivity is emotional control. This might sound harsh, but stay with me. There's a kind of manipulation that doesn't look like cruelty. It looks like niceness. It smiles, nods, and tells you everything's fine while quietly invalidating your deeper feelings. It's the smile that says, "Don't be so sensitive." The tone that implies, "Keep it light." The gesture that rewards compliance and punishes authenticity. Plato spoke of noble lies, myths told to maintain social order. Today we call them toxic positivity. It's the pressure to be happy all the time, to smile through pain, to treat discomfort as failure. But here's what nobody tells you. When you suppress truth for the sake of harmony, you become an accomplice in your own silencing. It's like a stage play where everyone claps for the actor, never realizing the actor is suffocating behind the mask. The empath feels that suffocation. You smile back because it feels dangerous not to. But inside, something begins to fade, a quiet betrayal of your own authenticity. I once knew a man who smiled through every insult, every slight, until one day he said, "I can't tell the difference between being kind and being invisible." That's the cost of false peace. Here's the deeper truth. Real peace isn't the absence of discomfort, it's the presence of honesty. Plato would have called that living in accordance with the good. And for the empath, that means trusting your inner truth more than anyone's outward smile. Because sometimes the brightest smiles guard the darkest intentions. And the fourth, the most critical of all, is this. Your sensitivity is not weakness, it's vision. This is the paradox at the heart of Plato's warning. The empath's curse is their gift. You see through masks not because you're fragile, but because you're attuned. You feel dissonance because you're wired for harmony. When Plato described the philosopher escaping the cave, he wasn't just talking about intellectual awakening. He was describing the empathic awakening, the moment you realize not everyone wants to see the light. Some people prefer the comfort of shadows. They smile not to connect, but to distract. It's okay to walk away from those smiles. Even Jesus walked away from crowds that couldn't understand him. Even nature prunes its own branches when they block the sun. Think of your empathy as a garden. If you don't weed it, false smiles will grow there, vines of guilt, obligation, and performance. But when you clear them away, what remains is radiant stillness. The muddy water settles, and you finally see your reflection clearly again. Here's the profound part. The more you trust your unease, the more peace you find. The more you stop explaining yourself, the more others reveal themselves. And the more you stop chasing smiles, the more authentic ones appear. Naturally, quietly, like sunlight finding its way through the forest. This is why your empathy isn't a burden, it's a compass. It points you away from performance and toward truth. And that's the hidden wisdom Plato left for the sensitive soul. So here we are, back where we started, with the smile, a symbol of connection and sometimes of control, a gesture of kindness and sometimes of concealment. All of these truths connect because they point to the same paradox. The world may run on appearances, but your peace begins when you stop serving them. The beautiful secret is this. You were never meant to read faces. You were meant to feel energy. Your task is not to please, but to perceive, not to decode smiles, but to trust silence. You are not broken for seeing too much. You are not failing because you can't play the social game. You are, in fact, what the ancient philosophers called awake. When you stop mistaking politeness for peace, when you stop trusting every smile, you finally come home to yourself. And from that place, you can love freely, wisely, without losing your center. So the next time you find yourself surrounded by smiling faces, take a breath. Feel what's underneath. Remember what we've explored today. Appearances are the shadows, not the truth. Trust your unease. Honor your knowing. Protect your light. Because you are the universe experiencing itself, sensitive enough to feel the falseness and strong enough to walk away from it. And so the journey continues. The game never ends.